Good morning, pregame crew. How are you doing? It is Thursday, September 21st, 2023, post FOMC day. It's 6:21 a.m. Mountain Time, 8:21 a.m. Eastern Time. We have jobless claims in 9 minutes. 9 minutes. Let's see. 8 minutes. And we have the Philadelphia Manufacturing Index at 8, and then we have some data at 10 a.m. All right, we have nat gas inventory today at 10:30 as well. I jump on here a little early just to get warmed up, say hello to my friends, take a few chart requests. Thank you, Night Truck. Hey, Shake and Bake, Andre, Tom, Rob, Greg, Topher. Hey, Card Lady, Fat N, Tess, Casey, Scotty, Coda. I'll answer that for you, Andre. I think it's great. HB, hey Nugget, Basque, Brian, Roxarito, Rob, Quazo, Hector, Peter, Bowtie. And I just want to let you know we are going back to the drawing board. I think we're going to keep this public, the pregame, we're going to keep it public. So please don't go anywhere. And we will discuss it and see what we're going to do for 2024 going forward. Yeah, Roxarito, Amazon has been just tanking. Hey, Scott, Big B, Bowtie, Peter, Hector. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Hey, Andrew. Do I have any chart requests? Yeah, reverse back burner day. And Andre, here's my view on the Strat, Fibonacci, Pitchfork, whatever your edge is, be consistent with using it. So consistently use your edge. I think the Strat is perfectly fine. I think it's a great strategy. It obviously works for a lot of people. So I think the Strat is great. Just you have to define your edge. And I'll go over that a little bit more later. I will go over just overall trading edge and how you let your winners run or your losers, how fast you cut them. They all go hand in hand. Yeah, Slow Devil, I would say weekly charts are okay for the most part. Yep, NVAX has a 42% short float. Yep. I haven't looked at it in a week. Let me see. 42.64%, and that is usually about 2 weeks delayed, so just know that. Gregory, I think the best policy is if your stock is opening up below your stop loss, or whatever name you're trading, it's opening up below your stop loss, cut it and reassess. We don't want to change our plan because it can always go lower. And of course it can go higher as well. But when a trade goes against your plan, the best thing to do is cut it immediately and then reassess with fresh eyes. Is this a name I really want to be going long? Is this a name I really want to be going short? So just cut it and reassess. And that's the same thing for trading errors. Let's say that you accidentally buy 2,000 shares of stock XYZ instead of 1,000. Cut it immediately because it's going to impact your trading psychology when you have a larger position than what you intended. So even if the error makes you money, get out. It's just a good policy. Yep, Andre, write it up and stick with it. We all need a playbook. And I did not get mentored or trained to do a playbook initially. However, it's evolved into a playbook. So I didn't journal initially. I started journaling about 3 years into trading. I started writing down my edge around 4 years into trading. And it's so pivotal to your trading is to journal, look at what's working, what's not working, and then have your trading book evolve. I mean, go watch SMB Capital videos. They had a guy who loves spreadsheets, and he was saying that when NKLA gaps up, and I'm making this up, 83% of the time it closes below the opening price. He had done statistics and back testing on his edge. So so much so that he had statistics on everything around NKLA. And that's who we're trading against. If we're trading against people that have that many stats and that much data, do you think we're going to win if we're not doing our own stats and our own data? Okay. DBX. DBX potential daily bear flag. That looks pretty bad. Weekly is still holding support. Monthly inside bar. That daily chart looks pretty rough. Looks like a top fish setup to me. Cisco. By the way, SPLK they announced a purchase this morning of, is it Cisco is purchasing SPLK? Who is it? Yep, Cisco is purchasing SPLK. So typically the acquiring company can sometimes get hit because it's taking on new debt. That's exactly what's happening with Cisco right now. It's taking a drop on this SPLK news. So they're acquiring it for $157 a share, and you're probably wondering, well, why isn't SPLK at $157? There's a lot of things that can go wrong in a transaction when you have your letter of intent to purchase, and between that and the lawyers get involved, things can happen. So that's why it's not at $157. But I'd be more comfortable being a bull on SPLK than a bear. And Cisco, this drop is expected with this acquisition. You have a gap down here at 53.52. That looks like that's getting filled. You have another gap down here at 51.37. So weekly, we're looking for a higher low. That looks pretty strong. $50 needs to hold in order to get a weekly higher low. Otherwise, Cisco looks okay. It's just the short-term price action on this acquisition news. Okay, I'm just reading. I had some chats, DMs. I want to make sure everything's working. AMD and LAC. Hey, Anu. AMD. Odds favor a monthly higher low. Daily's not oversold. If it were oversold, that could be a potential area to look for that monthly higher low. And we get oversold at around $93. I'm not saying it'll go there. Daily potential bear flag, 4-hour oversold. The plan for today is gap rules. So let's do this with AMD right here, right now. Okay. And that's yesterday's low. And we're gapping way below it. So if we come up, if bulls are able to bounce it but unable to penetrate yesterday's range and get over 128, then that is a short signal right there. That is a short signal right here. You'd want to go short right there if we're unable to re-enter yesterday's range. And that is the case on 90% of the charts that I looked at is we are gapping down. Okay, we have jobs numbers came out and we are pulling back. Forecast was, come on. Okay, forecast was 225 and it was 201, a little less than what was anticipated, and that is bad news. Good news is bad news for the market, so that's not necessarily a good number, and it's being perceived bearishly right now, and the market's pulling back. You can see there we're getting high volume here, and the dollar is spiking. This dollar strength is just unparalleled out there right now. 105.88 is your next resistance on the dollar. And we're approaching 4,400 on ES. I'd be shocked if we didn't get a bounce from there. If we hit 4,400, we have support at 43.99, and we're tapping on that glass right now of weekly support at 4,399. I would be surprised if we didn't get a bounce from there. Now, I'm not saying a sustained bounce, just a bounce. CV, and I have some notes on that. So CB, trying to get used to stops, but it felt like death by 1,000 cuts. I actually have notes. I'm going to show you my notes. I normally cut and paste these for TCG members only when I am done. But this South Africa example from the book, Best Loser Wins. Oh, I need to write that down. Tom that wrote Best Loser Wins, I think his last name is Hogard. He actually contacted us. He wants to answer some questions from our community members. So that's kind of cool. Okay, there's that bounce from 4,400. We're getting it right now. So let me start the show and I'll get back to my notes. Good morning. Welcome to the pregame show. This is who I am. I'm Chart Gal Lori. I'm part of Chart Guy's community and we teach technical analysis. You want to give me a follow on Twitter? That'd be great, at Chart Gal Lori. And I go over the economic calendar, which we have more data coming out at 10 a.m. Don't forget about that. And then here's my handy dandy table that says red, 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 red. Red, I hope your favorite color is red today because that's what we have. Then I normally save my notes for TCG members only. Hang Seng was down 1.29% overnight. DAX was down last time I looked at it. Yep, down 1.25%. It is reverse back burner day, meaning we're waiting for 5 and 15 minute overbought conditions to look for top fish setups to get those hourly lower highs on many of the names that we're watching. Remember gap days, disregard internals for the first 30 minutes because on gaps, they're typically skewed. You're going to have some really negative ticks when you at open, negative 1,400, negative 1,300. Disregard them for the first 30 minutes because internals are reflecting what happened overnight, not necessarily what's happening now. So you have to give it time for those to flush out. Gap rules apply. I think that gap rules, and I was asked to do a video and I promise I will, and gap rules are just what I showed you on AMD. If bulls are unable to penetrate yesterday's range, let's look at it on SPY. Okay, so SPY. Yesterday's high. What a bearish engulfing candle yesterday. So we have yesterday's low way up here. If bulls bounce and are unable to penetrate yesterday's range and reclaim this low right here, and then it turns down, that is a short signal. And that's how I'm playing today. It's a short signal. Gap rules apply. If bulls are unable to penetrate the prior day's range, bears are large and in charge. If all sectors stay near low of day, it's a go with trade, meaning go with the trend down. Let's look at sectors. I'm going to show you this from a daily perspective. So here are all the S&P sectors, and I always add SMH, but let's look at them. XLRE, we're below the daily EMAs. XLC, we're losing the daily EMAs. XLB, we're below. XLF is stronger than most. We're threatening to lose the daily 50 EMA and we're gapping down. XLK, firmly below those EMAs. XLV, below the EMAs. XLI, below the EMAs. XLP, same thing. XLU is the strongest, but the utilities pay dividends, and a lot of times people who are selling names like Tesla, they will flock to a utility company for safety for dividends. So that's actually bearish for the market. XLE is still holding the EMAs, but I like XLE as a laggard bear, and XLY below the EMAs. SMH below the EMAs. So if we look at all these sectors, they look terrible. For the most part, they look terrible, with the exception of XLF, XLU, and XLE. So how's the market going to bounce if all the sectors are weakening? It's going to be a tough job. Okay. I want to challenge you today to cut your losers fast. If it doesn't go in your direction within, say, 5 to 10 minutes, cut them fast. And then if a trade goes in your direction, I want you to add to the winners. So instead of scaling out, add to winners and cut losers super fast. And that is the whole concept behind Best Loser Wins, that book that I love. And in that book, he went over example of some wonderful traders in South Africa that they ran a hedge fund very, very successfully with amazing ROI, and they only won 27% of the time. Let that sink in. They only had winning trades 27% of the time, but those winning trades, I believe in the example, it was 1 to 11. So they would get at least 11 times return on their winners. Your edge actually doesn't even need to be great. If it's great, wonderful. It doesn't even have to be great. Consistently apply your edge, and then when you have a winner, let that winner run. That will offset. If you have a poor win rate, it will offset it. And I know that sounds crazy, but adding to winners is something that I've been doing since I read the book, Best Loser Wins, and I am absolutely shocked at the results. So I have always been a proponent of scaling out, and I'm not saying that I'm moving away from that completely. I like to scale out a little and keep my profit in the green, that even if I stop out, I'm still green. And then you can add back if it makes another 5-minute higher low or higher high. But I thought that 27% win rate example of those South African traders that Tom Hogarth was speaking of, I thought that was fascinating, that they only won 27% of the time, but those 27%, those gains were stellar. All right, let's get back to indices. Let me move my notes over here. Hello. Ona Ocean, yes, I took Netflix long. I was green on half, and then I lost on the other half. All right. So ES is down here testing our weekly support of $43.99. We're still holding. We're still holding $43.99. So we rejected from the daily 50 MA here last Thursday and Friday, and it's been down ever since. We are oversold on the hourly chart. We have a 16 RSI on the hourly. On a gap down scenario where we're really, really, really beat up, I like to buy those gap downs, buy it for just a flip, just a counter trend flip. So if we continue to just flush into open, the more it flushes, the better for that gap down buy opportunity for a counter trend scalp. NASDAQ hourly RSI is 14. And your weekly support is still intact, 14804, 14804. It is still intact. All right. I'm trying to read. Every time I get quiet, y'all, I'm reading your comments, and it's obviously I can't read and talk and analyze all at the same time. So sorry about that. RTY has lost the weekly uptrend. We have lost it. We lost that 1851, and your next support is down at 1775. RTY is really, really weak. Why? RTY are the small caps of our stock market, and those are riskier asset class than the large caps. And we see that also in Bitcoin. We are in a risk-off mentality, meaning they're dumping the riskier assets, saying, I don't want any part of the Russell or Bitcoin because that's the riskier assets. I don't want them. Look at this separation between the 8 and 21 EMA. And if you're using the 12 and 26, it's going to look exactly the same. Look at that big gap. That just shows, we know the bears are driving the bus, but the distance of this gap shows how fast they're driving the bus, and they're driving it really fast. The slope of the EMA, Sotima, tells us bears are large and in charge. So on Bitcoin, we rejected at the weekly EMAs. Daily has enough room for a higher low. So your next support is 26382. Let me see. You're not oversold on the hourly chart yet to possibly grab that daily higher low. Daily 50 MA rejected overhead 4 days in a row. Sorry, y'all. I'm adjusting and adjusting. My back is not doing well today. Gold, I like for a long. So gold, we're looking for a daily higher low. We rejected at the daily 50 MA. Do y'all remember 2 days ago I told y'all I like gold long targeting the daily 50 MA, and at the time the daily 50 MA was at 1965. And I said that's what I was targeting on gold. Well, yesterday we hit 1968. So we hit that daily 50 MA and then down she went. I'm looking for a daily higher low. Hourly is oversold, but I'm not going to rush it. I'm not going to rush it. Has this 5 minute told me that I have a reason to get in? No, not at all. As long as the 8 EMA is overhead on gold, I'm not going to attempt this daily higher low. This is probably the best trade idea I have for you today. We need the dollar to sit down and get a 5 minute downtrend. And we need gold to get a 5 minute uptrend. I'm looking for a daily higher low on gold. Gold long is my best trade idea I have for you today. Oil is going to mess up my trade idea here. I had oil as a short today. The daily is in an uptrend. That looks in the weekly. Y'all know I love the way oil looks, but I'm looking for a 4 hour lower high compared to 91.07. So I like a short in this area right here. And then above that 91.07, I'm wrong. So I like gold long today for a potential long trade, and I like a top fish setup of oil. Oh, thank you, Theo. You want NVDS or NVDA? Scotty doesn't know. XAUUSD, that is spot gold, and GC is futures. They run in tandem. You can look at either one. I just prefer futures. Okay, NVDS. That's bear NVDA. Well, I'm going to go over NVDA, and you can apply whatever TA I provide for NVDA, you can apply to NVDS. It's crazy not to be negative or pessimistic, but my back hasn't gone out in 3 years since my aunt died, and at her funeral my back went out. Well, the same thing happened last week at the funeral. So it's weird. Grief or whatever goes to where you're most where I have inflammation or where I'm weak, I guess. So it's wild. So let me go back to Apple. Stay with it, Lori. You can do it. Second weekly inside bar still forming. 173.58 needs to hold in order to hold this weekly inside bar. The key level is 171.96. If we lose that, we lose our weekly uptrend. So right now, as of right now, 173.58 still holding last week's low. So I'm going to draw it. I know y'all probably get tired of me drawing it, but if Apple bulls are to bounce and they are unable to penetrate yesterday's range and we turn, then that is a short. Inability to fill gaps shows how much power the prevailing trend has, and right now the prevailing trend is down. We will be much better off today shorting bounces than trying to nail bottoms. And I like that immediate gap down buy idea just for a flip, and then if it goes against me quickly, I get out. Yeah, gotcha. And Theo, the reason that I don't use any type 3 times ETFs like TQQQ, I don't do analysis on them because they have decay built in. So I don't use those. So any leveraged ETF, I don't chart, I chart the underlying. So on Apple, We're okay. We're not doing great, but we're okay as long as 173.58 holds. That would hold the weekly inside bar, and 171.96 is your weekly support. Gap rules apply. Amazon. The daily 50 MA is right here, and our support is 133.16. We're losing that support. We're at 131.38 right now. So we're losing the daily uptrend. We have enough room for a weekly higher low compared to 130.58. We're coming in hot to that level. Let me mark that up. Man, did Amazon have news? This is super weak compared to everybody else. Well, I guess not. Everything else is down 2%. All right, NVIDIA. Gotcha, Theo. Corey, I will do CGC for you. Which one of those had dilution? Was it CGC or Tilray? I don't remember. I think it was CGC. CGC is, I would be shorting CGC on every bounce if it was the name that got the dilution. I know Neo had dilution yesterday, but I think CGC did as well. So looking for that daily higher low doesn't make as much sense because it has news involved with it, and RSI doesn't matter. Okay, NVDA. Weekly higher low is at 403. NVDA or QQQ, probably NVDA, will be my name to buy at open on a good flush. But I only want it if 403 holds. If it's flushing 403, I don't want it. And then I would be switching my mindset and looking for bounces to short. So I want to be an aggressive bull at open on these big gap downs. And if I'm wrong, I will cut it fast. And then I want to switch to a conservative bear and wait for bounces to short. So we are still in a weekly uptrend of 403.08 holds. But y'all look at this. Even if it holds, we could be forming a weekly head and shoulders. Tesla, we're looking for a weekly higher low. Let me think real quick. Actually, I think I may be looking at Tesla for the gap buy instead of NVIDIA. I like that the daily 50 MA is over here. We're still in a daily uptrend. Y'all see the gap? The gap is at 256.52. Looks like we're going to fill that at open, and we're at the daily 50 MA. Yeah, I like that one better for a potential buy. So I may be buying Tesla at open for the gap down. JPM, gap rules apply. XLF has been leading. I'm looking for XLF to join the bears. So if we're unable to fill yesterday's gap, then I would look for a short on JPM. SMCI, do y'all see this? We have weekly head and shoulders. The neck breaks at 235.15. We're at 235.38. So I like SMCI for a short. I'd wait for a bounce to short it. What's yesterday's low? 242.39. So same thing. If at open, we're unable to fill that gap. If we bounce up and turn, that is a short right there. And put your stop over the high of day. Oh, Prime members being signed up without knowing it. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Trey. Thank you, Trey and Theo, for CGC. Yes, that was the one that was diluted. So SMCI, I like for a short. USO, I'm looking for a top fish setup against yesterday's high, 81.59. And that's the same concept of oil short that I was talking about against 91.07. Y'all see it? I'm looking for that 4-hour lower high on oil. I'm looking for a 4-hour lower high on USO. So I like a top fish against yesterday's high. XLE, same thing. I like a top fish against yesterday's high. You're welcome. Ugh, I don't like to do UVIXY. And here's the number one reason that I don't chart leveraged ETFs. Y'all look at this. Look how many splits this thing has had. That's a ski slope if I've ever seen one. And what it tells us is that fear leaves the market pretty quickly. When it enters the market, it can leave quickly. So on VIX, we broke this downtrend line here. We broke it bullishly. So your next 1736 would be the next resistance level on the VIX. And I would not be playing with, I don't trade UVIXY. I can't stand UVIXY. So I don't trade it. If you have it long today, congratulations. You have a stair step on VIX on the hourly chart. 5-minute EMA has been support since yesterday morning. So as long as the 5-minute 8 EMA is supporting VIX, then yes, keep your UVIXY long. But the minute that 5-minute EMAs are lost, I would be looking short. Adobe's breaking support. That was a pretty good one, huh? It was our long here, and it was our short idea here. So yeah, daily lower high looks to be set. And your next support is 523.62. 522.18. Sorry, 522.18. It's possible to get a daily higher low compared to it. Let's see if it holds. Mara. Probably looks, okay, Mara had dilution as well. And so if Bitcoin's doing bad, don't you know that they're going to go after the crypto-related name that has dilution, and that's Mara. So here's the names that I know of that have recently had dilution. Mara, Neo, CGC. We had a name. Was it Sono? Oh, shoot. Was this the one? No, I don't think so. This one may have been the one that had dilution, but let's go back to Mara. Okay, Mara, Neo, and CGC. You could, in theory, go set your RSI alert for when the 5 or 15 minute hits 70 overbought, and you could short those names pretty consistently. So the dilution, I'm assuming, was back here. And it's just been downhill ever since. And Bitcoin's not helping it. So if you're in long, I'm sorry. And I think you need to get an exit plan pretty quickly. So only thing I'd be looking on Mara is for shorts. Sound, that's the one. Thank you, Patrick. See? You knew what I was thinking. Yep, that's the one. They had dilution. So Sound, Mara, Neo, and CGC. Neo got tore up day before yesterday. It was an inside bar yesterday, and it's down again 3.5%. So it had a $1 billion offering. So bounces are for shorting. Look at that 5-minute overbought, y'all. You see it? Great entry. So those names that are diluted, watch your 5-minute overbought conditions for potential top fish setups. All right, that's it for me. There are 320 of you and only 101 likes. If you could hit the like button, I'd greatly appreciate it. Give me a follow on Twitter at CharkAlLuri. And TCG members, I'll have these notes over to you in a second. Use stop losses.